What happens to a nation when one man decides he will not stop praying until heaven breaks open? What happens to a soul when God places a burden so heavy that sleep, food, comfort, everything becomes secondary to the cry that refuses to leave the chest? Many Christians talk about revival, but very few ever touch the place where prayers become fire. John Hyde did. He was only 26. Shy, quiet, physically weak. Never preached a great sermon. Never led a large ministry. And yet, hell feared him, because every night, when the world slept, Hyde knelt on the floor and refused to rise until heaven answered. His prayers shook villages. His tears softened the hardest of men. His intercession bent the spiritual atmosphere of India until entire regions collapsed under conviction. Some called him strange. Some called him extreme. But history calls him one thing: the general of intercession. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you something, not as a narrator, but spirit to spirit. When was the last time you prayed? Until heaven answered? When was the last time you felt God pulling you into a place so deep that you knew someone's salvation depended on it? If this already stirs something in your spirit, pause for one moment and type, "Lord, make me a vessel," in the comments. Your words may awaken someone else watching. And if you want more stories of saints who walked into fire, fought hell on their knees, and changed nations without fame or power, subscribe to Scroll of Saints. Now, this is where it all began. John Hyde arrived in India expecting to preach, but God had other plans. His very first night, he tried to sleep on a thin cot in a missionary house, but sleep wouldn't come. He tossed, turned, pressed his hand against his chest. Someone was pressing on him. Not fear, not sickness, something else. A weight, a spiritual heaviness that made it hard to breathe. He stumbled to the window. Outside, the village slept, dogs barking in the distance, a single oil lamp flickering in a hut, dust drifting across the dark road. Nothing looked unusual, but inside his spirit, something was breaking. "Lord, what is this? Why can't I breathe?" No answer, only the weight. He lay back down, closed his eyes, and instantly he saw faces. Men he'd never met, women with hollow eyes, children playing in dirt, crowds upon crowds, passing before him like waves. Every face carried the same silent cry: "Who will pray for us?" Hyde sat up, trembling. He didn't understand it, but before the sun rose, he whispered, "Lord, if this is from you, break me if you must. Only don't lift this burden until I obey." And heaven listened. The next morning, Hyde stepped outside, eyes red, legs trembling. A senior missionary spotted him. "Hi, are you sick?" Hyde shook his head slowly. "No, someone is dying. Someone is lost. Someone needs prayer, and God won't let me sleep until I fight for them." The missionary frowned. "But you don't even know who they are." Hyde looked toward the horizon, toward the villages he hadn't visited yet, the people he hadn't met, the souls he'd only seen in visions. "I don't need to," he whispered. "God knows, and that is enough." He walked away, unsteady on his feet, but burning inside. He tried to begin ministry the way everyone expected: preaching sermons, visiting homes, helping missionaries, organizing meetings. But none of it worked. People listened politely, then walked away unchanged. Hyde felt something inside him collapse. "Lord, why can't I be like the others? Why does it feel like I'm pushing against the wall?" Silence. Then a whisper so soft, he wasn't sure if he heard it with his ears or his soul. "Give me your life, not your preaching." Hyde froze. That sentence split him open. He sank to his knees right there in the dust. "Lord, what does that mean?" Another whisper. "If you will pray, I will do the rest." He had spent years training to go, to preach, to work, to speak. But heaven wasn't asking for his talent. Heaven was asking for his surrender. That night, as the sun fell behind the Indian plains, John Hyde whispered the words that would change a nation. Lord, then teach me to pray. He didn't know it yet, but that prayer would make demons tremble. The moment Hyde prayed, Lord, teach me to pray, something shifted in the unseen. That night, he knelt beside his thin mattress and didn't rise for hours, not because he was disciplined, but because something stronger than discipline held him there. It felt like hands, gentle but unyielding, pressing him into the place of prayer. He tried to stand. His legs trembled. He collapsed again. Lord, what are you doing to me? A weight settled on his chest, not crushing, but holy, a burden, a fire. Suddenly faces flashed before him, a farmer bending under exhaustion, a widow weeping beside a dying child, a young man staring at idols with empty eyes, a girl carrying water with bruised shoulders. None of them spoke, but Hyde heard the cry in their silence. Don't let us die without Christ. He felt their pain, their darkness, their lostness. It was overwhelming. He grabbed his chest and wept. Then he began to pray like a man drowning, desperate for breath. Minutes turned into hours. Hours felt like seconds. Every face that appeared in his spirit pulled another cry from his soul. Lord, save them, save them, save them. The sun rose. His voice was gone. His body was shaking. But the burden remained. And Hyde knew this was the beginning, a turning point, a commissioning, a calling he could never escape. From that day forward, John Hyde walked like a man, carrying a nation on his back, because heaven had taken him at his word. The missionaries in the compound slept soundly, but Hyde lay wide awake, eyes burning in the darkness. Every time he closed his eyes, the same thing happened. Faces he had never seen, faces he could not forget. A child dragging an empty water bucket, an old man with a vacant stare, a woman clutching her sari like a shield, a teenager staring into firelight with hollow eyes. None of them spoke. None of them moved. They simply appeared, silent, aching, lost. Hyde sat up straight, heart pounding. Lord, what do you want from me? He whispered. Silence. Then a pull, deep, heavy, undeniable, dragged him to his knees. His voice cracked. God, I don't even know their names. Still the burden pressed. Stronger. He tried to stand. No use. He tried to lie down. His chest felt squeezed by invisible hands. So he surrendered. He knelt beside his small bed, placed his forehead on the wood floor, and began praying for people he had never met. Tears soaked the planks. His breath came in ragged gasps. But the more he prayed, the stronger the fire grew. Something holy was rewiring him from the inside. By midnight, his body trembled. By 2 a.m., he was weeping uncontrollably. By dawn, his pillow was untouched, but the floor was drenched. When the sun finally rose, Hyde whispered with a trembling voice, Lord, if you put their burden on me, then don't let me waste it. And something shifted in the room, a breeze without wind, a warmth without fire, a presence without form. Hyde felt it. God had marked him. The general of intercession was being forged in secret. John Hyde tried to start like every other missionary. He preached. He visited homes. He organized meetings. He gave lessons in quiet village courtyards. But the truth? No one listened. His sermons felt flat. His words felt weak. Villagers whispered. His Hindi is broken. He speaks softly, too softly. He does not preach like the others. Hyde felt it too. His chest tightened each time he opened his Bible to teach, like he was pushing against a door God had no intention of opening. One evening, after yet another failed meeting where only 2 people arrived, and one left halfway, Hyde walked back to his room in silence. He shut the door, locked it, and slid down the wall until he was on the floor. For the first time, frustration overwhelmed him. Lord, why can't I do this? Why can't I preach like the others? His voice cracked. Did I misunderstand you? Did I come here by mistake? No answer, only the weight, that same holy pressure that had followed him since the night he arrived, that same invisible hand on his chest. Hyde pressed both palms over his eyes. God, what do you want from me? At first, nothing. Then, a whisper, soft, clear, more like a breath than a sound. Give me your life, not your preaching. Hyde froze. Tears slid down his face. He whispered, "What does that mean, Lord?" The whisper came again, gentle but heavy with divine authority. "If you will pray, I will do the rest." The sentence struck him like lightning. He had spent years preparing sermons, studying theology, training for ministry. But heaven was not asking for skill. Heaven was asking for surrender. Hyde fell to his knees, then to his face, arms outstretched on the dusty floor, and he sobbed, "Lord, then take all of me. Take my nights. Take my strength. Take my heart. Teach me to pray until you move." And in that tiny room in India, the ministry of John praying, Hyde was born, not from a pulpit, not from a sermon, but from a man, broken on the floor. After that encounter, Hyde did something no one expected. He stopped preparing sermons. He stopped organizing meetings. He stopped trying to preach like the others. Instead, he shut himself in a room and prayed. Hours passed, then days, then weeks. Missionaries began whispering, "Hyde is strange. Hyde is too intense. Hyde prays too much." But they didn't know what was happening behind that closed door. Every night, Hyde knelt on the bare floor until his knees turned raw. He cried until his voice disappeared. He whispered names of villages he had never seen, faces he had seen only in visions. Sometimes, he woke up on the floor with dried tears on his cheek, not knowing when he had fallen asleep. Sometimes he felt a pressure so heavy on his heart he thought he would die. One night, burdened beyond what his weak body could bear, Hyde collapsed forward and gasped, "Lord, I can't carry this weight." Immediately, not a second later, a warmth spread across his chest. It wasn't emotion. It wasn't imagination. It felt like a hand, a literal hand, and a voice whispered through the room, "Then give it to me and carry only what I give you." Hyde shook. Tears streamed down his face. He had never felt God so near. When he rose to his knees again, everything was different. The heaviness was gone, but the fire had taken its place. A fire that made sleep impossible. A fire that made hunger feel irrelevant. A fire that made prayer the only thing that satisfied his soul. From that night forward, Hyde prayed like a man drowning in eternity. Not quiet prayers, not polite prayers, but groans, tears, cries. A missionary passing by his door once heard him whisper, "Father, give me souls or I die." That was the night John Hyde stopped being a missionary and became the general of intercession. The fire inside Hyde didn't stay contained. It grew, it spread, it consumed him. One morning, after hours of agonizing prayer, Hyde staggered out of his room with eyes red like embers. A missionary saw him and asked softly, "Hyde, what are you praying for?" Hyde took a shaky breath. "One soul." The missionary frowned. "One soul today?" Hyde shook his head. "No, one soul every day. I will not sleep tonight until God gives me one." The missionary stared at him as if he'd gone insane, but Hyde meant every word. That day, he went into the streets, weak and trembling, but burning. He spoke to a man selling fruit, then a farmer carrying a sack, then a young student passing by. No one listened. Hours passed. Evening came. The sky darkened. Hyde's strength faded, but he refused to stop. Finally, near sunset, Hyde met a man sitting alone by a well, head in his hands, tears dripping into the dust. Hyde approached slowly. "Friend, are you hurting?" The man didn't look up. "My life," he whispered, "is broken." Hyde knelt beside him, and without eloquence, without a sermon, without a plan, he simply placed a trembling hand on the man's shoulder and said, "Jesus can carry what you cannot." The man broke. weeping, trembling, surrendering. That night, Hyde returned to his room, fell to his knees, and whispered, one soul, Lord, thank you. And the next morning, he prayed the same words again, one soul today. Some days were easy, most were impossible, but Hyde refused to lower the prayer. He refused to pray safe prayers. He refused to accept fruitless days. He wrestled, he interceded, he cried, and day after day, soul after soul, God answered. Missionaries began whispering. Hyde has become dangerous. He is praying things impossible for ordinary men. But that was the point. Hyde was no longer praying as a man. He was praying as a vessel, a general, a conduit of revival, and heaven was listening. Hyde's one soul a day prayer shook the mission field. But God wasn't done with him. Not even close. One night, after praying for hours, Hyde collapsed on the floor, completely spent. His chest felt tight, his breathing shallow. He clutched the edge of his cot and whispered, Lord, is this burden too heavy for me? No answer, just a weight. He tried to stand, but his legs buckled. So he crawled to the corner of a room, crawled to the spot where he prayed every night, until the wood beneath his knees had begun to wear smooth. And there, something happened. He felt a burning inside his chest. Not physical pain, but spiritual fire. A fire so intense he doubled over, groaning like a man in travail. He pressed his forehead to the floor, trembling. Lord, what are you doing to me? Then came the whisper, ask me for 2 souls a day. Hyde froze. 2? He could barely fight for 1. But the whisper came again, gentle and heavy as thunder. Ask me for 2. Hyde lifted his head slowly, tears streaming. Lord, if you will give me strength, I ask for 2 souls tomorrow. The burden struck him like a wave, so fierce he gasped. It felt like God had poured the weight of an entire village into his chest. That night, Hyde didn't sleep. He groaned, he prayed, he wrestled, he wept, and in the early gray of dawn, before the sun even rose, Hyde dragged himself into the streets of India once more. Weak body, burning spirit. Every step felt like carrying the cross uphill. Hours passed. Rejection after rejection. Faces turned away. Doors closed. But Hyde refused to stop. He whispered the same words over and over. Lord, you said 2. Bring them. Bring them. Late that evening, just when exhaustion numbed his entire body, he saw a man sitting alone near an abandoned market stall. Hyde approached. The man looked up with eyes filled with sorrow. My wife left me, he whispered. My gods are silent. I have nothing. Hyde sat beside him, voice trembling with compassion. There is one who hears you even now. And right there, the man bowed his head and surrendered his life to Christ. 1. Hyde kept walking. Minutes later, he found a widow standing outside her home, staring at the sky as if asking questions. Hyde approached gently. Do you long for peace? He asked. She nodded slowly. Hyde prayed with her, and peace came. 2. Hyde staggered home that night, fell onto his knees and whispered, 2 souls, Lord, I thank you. The next morning, he prayed the same words again, 2 souls a day, and heaven shook. John Hyde kept praying for 2 souls a day, then 3, then 4, then 5. Missionaries didn't understand. Doctors were horrified. His heart had literally shifted in his chest from the strain of intercession. Push 2 inches to the left, they said. No one had ever seen anything like it. And still, he prayed. Some nights he groaned until his voice broke. Some days he fasted until he fainted. He walked through villages like a dying man carrying fire. And everywhere he went, conviction fell like rain. Bars emptied. Idols shattered. Entire communities came to Christ. It wasn't Hyde's sermons. It wasn't Hyde's brilliance. It wasn't Hyde's strength. It was a burden. It was a fire. It was a God who answers when one man refuses to stop praying. But Hyde's body could not endure what his spirit carried. One evening, during a revival meeting, Hyde leaned against a wall. hands shaking, chest burning. His friend rushed to him. "Hyde, you must rest," he pleaded. Hyde's answer was barely a whisper. "I cannot rest while souls are dying." Those were among the last words he spoke before collapsing. Doctors examined him and gasped. His heart, it is not even in the right place. Hyde should have died instantly, but he lived long enough to whisper one final prayer. "Lord, give India revival." And then, quietly, peacefully, the general of intercession went home, not with crowds, not with applause, not with earthly honor, but with the sound of heaven rising to meet a man who had shaken nations from his knees. When news spread, one missionary said, "John Hyde prayed so fiercely, it was as if he pulled revival out of God's hands." And history would remember him this way: a frail man whose prayers bent the destiny of India, a soldier who fought with tears instead of weapons, a general who commanded no army except the angels who answered his cries. His grave reads simply, "A man of prayer." But heaven knows the truth. He was a firestorm. He was a warrior. He was a general. He was a man hell feared. If Hyde's story stirred something in your spirit, if it awakened that old hunger to pray again, to intercede again, to fight for souls again, then type "Lord, make me a vessel" in the comments. Your words might reignite someone else watching. And if you want more stories of saints who prayed through fire, walked through storms, and changed nations on their knees, subscribe to Scroll of Saints, not for entertainment, but to keep their flames burning in our generation.